Hey VC, family and friends. It's Thursday, the day before St. Patrick's Day, right? Frankly, I'm glad I'm out of the loop of playing St. Patrick's Day. That used to be the big gig for the band Patio Furniture, which I still participate in sometimes. That used to be our big gig, and I guess people stopped asking for us or something, but I'm not missing it. Well, I want to try to address several things in this video. The first thing I'll do is I want to thank a young man. Well, actually, I don't know how old he is. His name is Anthony Spear. He got a hold of me a while back saying that he wanted to write an article about the vinyl community, and he wanted my permission to use my name. Also wanted to know if he thought it was cool to write about the community. And I said, you know, he said he wanted to say something positive. I said, go for it. He posted his article yesterday on his blog, Whiskey on the Rocks. Whiskey on the Rocks. I'll post a link. Thank you, Anthony Spear. I mean, I really don't... It's not so much that I need to thank you, but I am thanking you for wanting to write about the phenomenon of the vinyl community, and I think that it is. I am very happy to be a part of this quote-unquote non-existent community. I mean, it exists in our minds, you know what I mean, in our hearts. There is no place that is the VC. But I do think that this vibration and this aesthetic that the VC has, which is number one, the most important thing we share is a love of music and our fascination with records. But another important aspect of the VC is how even when we have differences, we try to be civil. And that I know that's real important. That's a real important aspect of the vibe of the VC, is that we're decent and humane. You know, people have given me a hard time for bashing certain bands, but it's pretty obvious in the long run the way that people respond to me is that they get it, which is that I'm not hating on anyone. I'm just expressing an opinion, which is completely different than hating on and putting people down. So again, thank you, Anthony. And I encourage folks to read it. He asked for, like I said, he asked for my permission to use my name. So I'm assuming that he asked the other VC members to use their names as well, because I'm not the only person that he mentions. Excuse me, I guess I have a little bit of some sinus. So that's the first thing I want to share. That little things like that mean a lot to me. We live in the world, but really we live in the world in our minds. And so it's the mental landscape that is really the most important in a lot of ways, you know, how things look to us in our minds. And I'll tell you, folks, with the current state of affairs of the world, which is we really do seem to be in apocalypse times. I mean, things are really in bad shape. I just focus on the simple little things, you know, each day, that I can have a cup of coffee, that my roof is still over my head, that I can play records, that I can do this on the internet. I'm thankful, because in my very realistic view of how things are going, this is about to fall apart. I mean, seriously, within the next 10 years. I mean, so, you know, I still think that there could be some even further major damaging things happen to the infrastructure this year. It's already happening to different places around the world. But to the extent that it's really impacting my personal life, I can still see that happening within the years. Some crazy shit, either natural or man-made or both. So I just keep it on the one, which is to enjoy each day as it comes. Enjoy each moment. Nothing is guaranteed. With that in mind, also, I want to just thank, I love the feedback, and people have obviously been enjoying me getting back to making videos. I've been enjoying the last couple videos I've made have been real fun, and that's what brought me here, is I knew this was where I needed to be. So I want to follow up and do another great second albums this morning. Before I get to that though, one more thing. As I checked my channel this morning, I am at 2,999 subscribers. So I may as well go ahead and say thank you for 3,000 subscribers. Wow. Thank you. All I can say is thank you. I'm just, you know, a friend of mine named Craig got a hold of me recently, who I haven't seen for a while. We're going to get together sometime soon. And he has started watching or checking in on some of my videos, and he complimented me, saying that he said, no wonder you're so popular. You know, it's obvious that you've put a lot of time into how you present yourself. And I stopped him. I said, no, I've put no time into it. This is where I sit in this room. When I got the webcam, I stuck it on top of the screen. Boom, here we are. No thought put into this. I mean, you know, I put a thought into it, obviously, about what I'm saying, but the idea of setting this up especially so you can see this, no, this is the way I live. I've been sitting here for years in this room. It's been changed around a little bit, but mostly since I bought a desk, it's been here, and this is where I sit. So thank you folks for being with me, for being my friends, or for being for watching me, for whatever reason you do. So let's talk about some music. Nice comments. One comment which I knew I'd get some is folks asking about, well, what about? The main answer is this. Number one, it's my list of great second albums, and there are some records that you think I have, I don't have. There are records that you would imagine I have, I don't. Like, for example, Iggy and the Stooges, Funhouse. I don't have that on vinyl. I've never owned it. Do I rate it? Yeah. Do I have any Iggy on vinyl? Yeah, Raw Power. Okay, so here we go. What I'm listening to is one that I consider a fantastic second album, The Wake. The Wake came to my attention from being on the Factory Records label. I remember seeing the Wake album for the first time out in San Francisco when I was out there to see the Residents back in the 80s. I had never heard of the Wake. I saw the cover to the first album, that gray factory design. I knew that it was good. I just bought it. Really liked it, but their second album, Here Comes Everybody, this album is a dream. I love this album. Let me turn it. I just love this. I'm going to take it back. Good example of what I really like. Yeah, it's a record, so you're going to hear some surface noise. The Wake, Here Comes Everybody. Just listen to a little bit. It's far from perfect, but it's just fantastic for me. I love songs like this. I just love this. Here Comes Everybody. Fantastic second album. Fantastic. Oh, folks are still, it's nice. Every day this week I've gotten up and there's a new order for Sonospheres 2. Thank you, folks. You know, I'll say this, Sequoia Flame, you got Acid Rain done by Furnace. I noticed it took forever to, I noticed that I thought it was a long time. We were waiting a long time to hear something from you. So I guess that's what I guess I just better get ready for a long haul. Obviously I'm not getting my record this week. Okay, let's keep going on the records. Brett, great idea for a thread. I can never tell when something's gonna really capture my attention. Also, I want to sort of apologize to Big Star 1000. On your thread, you know, I guess I really didn't listen closely to the instructions. It was supposed to be, what, 5 records from each letter? Oh well. Here's some more records that I consider great second albums. No sophomore slump here. Eno, Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy. Huh? Right? So Here Come the Warm Jets is a very interesting and auspicious debut for Eno. But then to come back with this, Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy, wow. I mean, just the song Third Uncle alone. Fantastic second album by Brian Eno. Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy. I am kind of almost at a loss for words. This record is very influential. There's a lot of post-punk that Eno was doing before punk. He was ahead of every. I love it. I love it. He was ahead. Okay. Auckland. Their first album is pretty cool, but their second album, it's like, well, something's really going on here. In Search of Space. Auckland's second album. The cover, if you can't tell by the cover that we've got something going on here, then just forget it. I have 2 copies. I have an original and I have Back on Black reissue. And yeah, for a second album these guys were on their trip, and they, you know, it wasn't like I said in my last video. The second album showed that the band were not a fluke. That they had revved the engines up and they had started their journey, and it was real. So In Search of Space for a second album. Another great second album by a band. As I've mentioned before, Yellow Magic Orchestra from Japan are one of my favorite bands. But when I first heard them, I didn't like them. I didn't get the joke. I didn't know that there was a joke for a long time. So when I look back, their second proper album, Solid State Survivor, is when it started to come together for me. Now, to me, this is still not YMO at their best. But compared to their first album, this is so much better. Such an improvement. Rydeen, Behind the Mask, which is their most famous song. Michael Jackson did a version of it and wrote lyrics for it. So Yellow Magic Orchestra's second album, Solid State Survivor, is another example of an excellent second album. In my opinion, Tangerine Dream's first album is a bit of a mess. I love it, I love having it, but it was the second album where you can start to see things coming together. Alpha Centauri. This is where the vision of Tangerine Dream starts to really show real promise to my ears. Their second album, Alpha Centauri. My copy is slightly beat, but great album. Great album. Okay. One of my favorite labels, among others, for Charisma is one, but 4AD, especially their initial run when it was owned by Ivo Watts Russell. Incredible label. Another band on that label whose second album, far superior to their first album to my ears, Pale Saints in Ribbons. This album is excellent. Love this album. Every song. Once again, it has the nice mixture of shoegaze with melancholy. Love this album. In Ribbons, Pale Saints. Going back to my youth, H.P. Lovecraft 2, their second album, blows the first one away. This is a, pardon me, all this. A must-hear for those who like psychedelia. A must-hear. This is an original copy. At the Mountains of Madness on here. Spin, spin, spin. This is fantastic. I keep saying it. I can't think of another word. It's a great second album. When I had cable to the point that I could see like MTV and stuff, I would watch stuff like 120 Minutes when it was going, and then it became the Subterranean and whatever. That was where I first encountered the band Hot Chip, and I heard a song off their first album, really dug it. Thought it had a lot of promise. And it did. And when their second album came out, I was like, oh wow, we're onto something. Hot Chip, The Warning. Their second album, I think it's been excellent. Now, I don't think they've lost the plot since then, but it's kind of like what they got started. Things have changed so much that it's kind of like, for whatever reason, Hot Chip just doesn't seem to, it's like they have their little niche, but they're not going to be something huge. But I still rate this highly. The Warning, Hot Chip's second album. This is really good. Okay. This album saved my life. I mean, literally, this album just is one of those albums that when I would get real suicidal as a kid, and I did, you know, remember those moments well, and what I was thinking and feeling. I remember it now like it was yesterday. But one of the albums that, for whatever reason I can't put into words today, that gave me hope or somehow helped me want to keep living was the Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. This is their second album. And what an amazing second album to make, especially after starting out as a blue-eyed soul band. This is a masterpiece to this day. Days of Future Past, the Moody Blues' second album. Amazing album. Landmark album. Landmark. I love this album so much. I meant to show this yesterday because this was the first album I thought of, actually, when I was trying to think of great second albums. The first album I thought of was this, Souvlaki by Slowdive. Their first album shows a lot of promise. Their EPs, the first EPs are way better than the first album. But by the time they get to this, okay, yeah, this band is doing something way cool. Souvlaki, Slowdive, fantastic second album. Kraftwerk 2. I mean, you know, you could almost talk about this album changing history in ways. Kling Klang. If you've never heard Kling Klang off of this, it's a journey. I had their first album too. It was stolen. So happy I still have this. Kraftwerk 2, amazing second album. Another amazing second album. Brighter Later, Nick Drake. 5 Leaves Left as a starter is like, my God, are you kidding me? But then to come with a second album, this, whoa, okay? Nick Drake, Brighter Later. I, for one, love Modern English's first album and think that it's an unheralded post-punk classic. I really do. But they followed up the album. They didn't try and top the first album. They kept moving ahead with their sound. After the Snow, I think, is fantastic. You can't see this, but my copy is autographed. I met these guys when they were came to America, as I Melt With You was about to break, and I got to interview them. They were great guys, and the show was phenomenal. I saw the band at their height, Modern English. Last but not least, I just showed this, Matching Mole's Little Red Record. Their second album tops the first one, Heads Down. This is, again, another album that you must hear. Brian Eno makes an extremely important contribution to this album. It's produced by Robert Fripp. The band is led by Robert Wyatt. How much more do you need to get up off your ass and find out about this record? Amazing. It's already 20 minutes plus. There's more to talk about, but I'm going to stop here, folks. The VC rules, people. VC rules. Once again, folks, when you order Sonospheres 2, try to remember to tell me what color it is you want, red or green. Okay.